Welcome to Curly's Mailbag, the Queensland Racing Preview with the one and only MJ. I'm your host, Scooty Pippin. I've still got Curls' hat, and it is Sunshine Coast Guineas, Winx Guineas, Glasshouse Handicap Day on Saturday, and this is the card that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, it is. Well, geez, what an intro!
Get around it.
Exciting, really exciting. It's great to have a race named after one of the top 10 horses that we've seen in our lifetimes in Winx. That's really adds a lot of flavour to the meeting, doesn't it?
You got a post on the wall. You're a big fan. You're a big Chris Waller man, and they're just like it's a chock of block meeting. You got Kishu Kano, the only horse in Queensland to beat Rothfire, opening up the card. Race 1, number 1, 60.5 kilos. Mark Duplessis.
Yeah.
No marks up yet, but it probably just does it win?
Look, it'll be very well supported, I'd imagine. For the reason that you mentioned with that Rothfire form, yeah, we'll just see what price the market comes up with. I'd be sort of happy to have a bit of a look at it. One thing about the Michael Nolan trained horses is that they are ready to go first up. Traditionally, he doesn't miss them to get them ready to fire early in their prep. So it'll be there to win. I'm not sure whether it was by design or what, but sort of come back on the back end of the Winter Carnival. So you'd expect it to win some races. It did have a jump. Was meant to jump out a couple of weeks ago and refused to load there the other day at Toowoomba. So it has jumped out since, though. It's successfully loaded and passed and jumped. So it's a little thing for the back of the mind for the punters at home that wouldn't have seen that information anywhere published. It was a late scratching at a jump out a few weeks ago.
That's why you're the best. Have you ever refused to load, Curls, or stuff? Every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty stubborn. Don't worry about that. I don't refuse to load my betting accounts, though. You always got a blast.
Now, what do you think about the noise today with Victorian horses not allowed in New South Wales? Is there anything in that?
Honestly, yeah. Look, it's just another power play, isn't it? From St. Peter. Is it St. Peter just reminding everybody that he's God and Jesus and Joseph all at the same time, and he's shut the gate on the Victorians? Look, whatever. What races are the Victorians going up there for anyway? Over the next few weeks, I don't know. Look, really, we should be working together in these, in this instance. Got enough headwinds to contend with. Whatever, I don't know. New South Wales horses can go to Victoria, but there's some kind of quarantine period to come back. Is that how I read it?
Yeah, it's a funny one. My take is maybe it's just to try and distract from the jockey betting saga that's going on up there. It just seems like Mark Van Kestel and Hieronymus and just in a blow for blow fight there as well. So maybe it's just to try to distract what's really happening in Sydney. Who knows? But
possibly they're good. Hippos. I did read a little bit of that. It might look like I had a bet, but I didn't. It's not what it looks like. I reckon that's great. He's got a right to defend himself. There's always something going on, isn't there? We can't just enjoy wagering. I like to sort of think of myself in the wagering industry nowadays, less so than the racing.
Especially after losing day. I love it when you say that you love wagering but you hate racing. Speaking of the races this Saturday at the Sunshine Coast, the weather is interesting. So you've got rain before, a lot of rain forecast Thursday, and then rain forecast Sunday. We're talking about 15 mil and possibly 8 mil on the Sunday. The track's already a soft 5, so there's a big asterisk. So maybe not bet early and maybe just, see how the track's playing, and Kishu Kano will give a pretty good lead and see what's happening there. But let's talk about the races with odds up currently. Is the Winx Guineas, and it's a pretty open market and probably a disappointing field, obviously with COVID restrictions. Star of Michelin, last start winner on the back up, 330. Wapiti, 440. Night Mariner, $6. Mayozi, same quote. Starla, 850. And then you're looking at pretty big odds. Love Express at $16 and $20 or $31 the rest. What was your early thoughts when markets first went up here?
My first thought was the lack of quality in the race. Well, I don't know, but the lack of quality is a bit harsh. It's a $70,000 winner race. Like you know, are you really going to sort of go out of your way to get here? I don't know. I suppose it is Group 3. I would have thought we've seen a little bit more Waller influence, I suppose, on this one. But anyway, it is what it is. Star of Michelin's the interesting one for me. I sort of thought in Transit on Saturday that it probably had no right to win. Still found a way. I thought it was a pretty impressive win. And then try and sort of marry that up against, obviously Stewie Kendrick trains, home track. There was a bit of time between runs. So what my thought process here is that this was always going to be a target if he get through his last start, because he was a month between runs. But post-race, Stewie Kendrick did mention that he had a jump out in between his last start and that win at Eagle Farm. And I sort of anticipate that he'd be ready to go for this race on the home deck. The interesting thing about the weather is that if the track does play wet and the rail in a true position, normally they'll be looking to come down the crown of the track anyway, which will suit this horse's racing pattern. So it's certainly found sort of the right race at the right time, I feel, and he looks the horse to beat. You mentioned a couple of others there that can play a role, but it's got a long tail, this race.
I thought Night Mariner, just from an SP profile point of view, in its first ever prep, it started a pretty short price versus Star of Michelin. It didn't fire that day, but it's put two good wins together on smaller tracks. And given that it's had the start at 1690 at Ipswich, I think that's still a pretty good platform for a bigger track at the Sunshine Coast. And it looks like it's a Tavistock, so it looks like it will handle the wet. Bailey's got the ride. That was the horse that sort of interested me as a progressive horse, sort of on the rise there.
No knock from me. We were on him at Ipswich, I think, from memory. Short price favourite. Things didn't pan out in the run for him, and he had to overcome a few difficulties. Rather than sort of pull out and make his run from the 550, 600 metre mark, Bailey had to sort of wait and go in between them, sort of slice through on the corner, and eventually got to the outside and was able to get Rebel Rock late. So I think that the win was a little bit, well, look, I'm sure the win was better than what it looks like on paper, overcoming those few difficulties. And I think you nailed it there with this horse getting back on a bigger track. It certainly looks the one that's the danger. Look, I don't think Star of Michelin's short, but by any stretch on what we saw. Mayozi was another horse that was some interest. I don't know about that ride the other day. It's just maybe because when you're on a horse, you've got a little bit of situational bias that you just expect a better ride when they get rolled. But I'm sort of hoping to see this horse sort of, get up and get the back of the horse in front of him in that three wide train, sort of working into the race, and Robbie stayed in and then sort of just pulled out late and started making ground, and the bird had flown. Shijin had sort of already kicked clear, but I don't know. It's still got to improve a little bit, I would have thought as well. But just if the forecast wasn't to be so wet, like up to sort of 15 mil of rain, sort of on the forecast, I think, for Thursday. So we'll just have to wait and see
what the track does
for sure.
The other feature there is the Glasshouse handicap, and I nearly fell off my chair when Soxagon, who is racing in impeccable form, it was a great ride last start, Soxagon, and I just thought $2.30 in early betting. If we look at the rest of the market, we've got Deep Image off a failure and a little bit of a freshen up off the Stradbroke. $6, probably prefers a good surface over the wet. Crone definitely likes a wet track, $6.50 on that last start, narrowly beaten. Nova Boy, $8, special missile around the $7 quote. And then you're looking at $13 for River Racer, who probably goes really well on a wet track also, and at that track being by Hidden Dragon. $2.30 Soxagon, it does not turn me on.
No. You don't know about this race. Hey, the first thing I did was the sort of before I seen the prices come out, I sort of kept thinking trying to go through the race, thinking what starts favourite here, and I just kept coming back to Soxagon starting favourite or opening favourite. Immediately started to try to punch holes in the horses' chances. Obviously, the Sydney horses would, if they do come, and that's the other thing too. There's no jockey declared on Noble Boy. He's a sort of interesting runner that's changed stables and showed plenty of potential. It's got form behind True Detective and Trumbull. Last time has trialled since. I think the track, like a soft track, wouldn't worry it. It's got great wet track stats. This will be another interesting one where you're sort of looking at the track, like you said about Deep Image. Victory 8, $30. It's sort of had been racing pretty good at its home deck. There's a lot of variables here. You keep going through the stats, and you sort of keep coming to Soxagon, who put up a huge effort on the clock last start. A really nice win. Had the perfect run in the race, and I know that it says in the form guide it reads Class 6 set weights, and it sort of goes to listed grade here, but this is I'm not sure how many genuine listed class horses are in this field either. So it's just it's too short to bet with the unknowns of the track, that's for sure. And saying that, this horse has had 2 goes on the soft for a win in a second. So I suppose we'll just see what happens again. I know it sort of sounds like a broken record to see how much rain we get, but shopping around early is probably no good with the forecast, so we just have to wait and see, unfortunately.
When you look at the form of Special Missile on a soft track, winning a Scone Cup over Fierce Impact, and then being pretty competitive to a horse at the start of the season. I'm going a long way back, but you make a lot of money if you back Sydney horses and Melbourne horses getting up to Queensland, and especially I'd rather be on a horse like that, even off the high SP against True Detective. I think that'd be the way I'm going. Richard Freeman seems to place his horses impeccably well. It and Noble Boy are the ones that really pique my interest in this race. Curls, big week last week, and then this week, what are the meetings that you've got covered for the rest of the week to do race by race, and how are you going to tackle the rest of the week for the mailbag?
We've got Toowoomba Saturday night, Gold Coast Saturday. We had a tremendous run of seconds. I was going so good at tipping things that would run second last Saturday. I've tossed up. We had a race at Toowoomba over 870, and I said that the favourite is just a complete moral, but we won't be taking the $1.40. It's rock bottom. The horse that will run second will be Red Rabbit. Sure enough, Red Rabbit wins and knocks off the $1.40. That's how good I was going with the amount of seconds. But we'll be covering the Gold Coast. Has been a really good track for us over the first 3 months of the service. We'll be betting there Saturday afternoon, Toowoomba Saturday night, and Gatton. So Gatton was I was referring it to Royal Gatton before the last meeting there. I would be referring this one as the graveyard of Gatton after last time's performance. And then obviously the Sunshine Coast. The Sunshine Coast meeting for the Metro service Saturday afternoon. So once again, like I've touched on earlier, we're sort of condensing these meetings into the weekends now, like it used to be. So plenty of time to get the reviews and the previews right for those meetings from the weekend, rather than having sort of race meeting day after day. So we should be able to get back into some good routine, and hopefully we can find some winners rather than finding the runner-up stall.
Yeah. Well, exactly, yeah. I think we might call you Shane Bunn this week instead of Jane Bunn, the weather girl, and we'll just have you on weather duty and weather watch. So head to @Toowoomba Tips for all the weather updates for racing in the Sunshine State. Us Melburnians aren't allowed to go anywhere near you, and it's probably a good thing. But head to themailbag.com.au if you want to sign up for Curly's stuff. He is absolutely on fire. There is no hotter punter or tipster in Australia at the moment. Good luck if you're betting on the Sunshine Coast and in Queensland in general. And Curls, the question on everyone's lips, do you have a shirt on underneath that hoodie?
I do actually. So one of the things that I work hard on is not wasting money on clothes, Scoot. So I've got I either wear Betfair or Mailbag hoodies. I wear the $5 V-neck t-shirts from Kmart, which is I'm tipping them heavily for anyone that's looking to buy a t-shirt. The $5 V-neck black t-shirts at Kmart are a staple, as well as the $15 trackies. But I get the one with the elastic around the ankle, just so
Lock in that heat.
Keeps me tucked in, nice and warm over the top of my Betfair socks.
Matt Rowell style. It must be a Queensland thing to be tucked in. All right. Good luck on the weekend, Curls, and can't wait to see the action unfold at the sunny coast.
Cheers, mate. Talk soon.
See ya.